The Zephyrian High Command had calculated everything with mathematical precision. Their quantum computers had analyzed human behavioral patterns across 17 different scenarios. The probability matrices all pointed to the same conclusion. When faced with overwhelming force, the species called Homo sapiens would capitulate within 72 standard hours. They were wrong. Admiral Kethvar stood before the massive holographic display aboard the flagship Dominion's Edge, his arms clasped behind his crystalline exoskeleton. The blue-white light of Earth hung before him like a defiant jewel, surrounded by the debris of what had once been humanity's outer defense grid. "Status report," he commanded, his voice resonating through the bridge's neural interface. "All orbital. Platforms have been neutralized, Admiral," reported his tactical officer. "Their military satellites are offline. We've established electromagnetic dominance over their communication networks. The planet lies defenseless." Kethvar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems using this exact methodology. Demonstrate overwhelming superiority, eliminate their ability to coordinate resistance, then broadcast the surrender ultimatum. Most species begged for mercy within hours. "Transmit the standard capitulation demand," he ordered. The message that reached every functional receiver on Earth was simple and had been translated into hundreds of human languages. "Your military capacity has been eliminated. Surrender unconditionally within 72 hours, and your species will be granted protectorate status under the Zephyrian Empire. Resist, and face complete annihilation." What happened next would be studied in Zephyrian military academies for generations. Instead of the expected flood of surrender transmissions, Earth went silent for exactly 18 minutes. Then, every remaining communication array on the planet activated simultaneously, broadcasting on all frequencies. The voice belonged to Secretary General Maria Santos of the United Earth Defense Council. Her words were calm, measured, and delivered in flawless Zephyrian. "We have received your ultimatum. This is our response. No." Kethvar's 4 eyes narrowed. "Replay that transmission." "No," came the voice again. "You misunderstand our species if you believe we will kneel because you destroyed some satellites. You want Earth? Come and take it." The Admiral's tactical officer shifted nervously. "Sir, our xenobiology reports indicated that humans are a fear-responsive species. They should be requesting negotiations by now." Instead, something unprecedented began happening across Earth's surface. Every major city started going dark, not from damage, but deliberately. Humans were shutting down their own infrastructure, denying the Zephyrians any valuable targets. But the electromagnetic signatures suggested something else. Massive industrial mobilization. "They're building something," the sensor operator reported, confusion evident in his synthesized voice. "Manufacturing facilities are operating at 300% normal capacity. They're converting civilian infrastructure into..." The first wave of human ships erupted from Earth's atmosphere like angry hornets from a disturbed nest. They weren't sleek, elegant vessels like Zephyrian craft. They were ugly, angular things, converted cargo haulers, mining ships, and civilian transports bristling with improvised weapons. "Impossible," Kethvar breathed. "Our intelligence said they needed months to mobilize their fleet." "Sir," his aide whispered, "I don't think those are military vessels. They weren't." Humanity had done something the Zephyrian Empire had never encountered. They had weaponized their entire civilian infrastructure. Container ships launched clouds of kinetic projectiles. Asteroid miners deployed shaped charges. Even passenger liners had been fitted with ramming prows. The first human ship to reach the Zephyrian lines was a converted garbage scow called Second Chance. Its captain, a former waste management coordinator named Jake Morrison, had welded 17 missile pods to his hull and filled his cargo bay with nuclear waste. His final transmission was picked up by every ship in both fleets. Tell my kids I took out a dreadnought. The Second Chance rammed straight into the Zephyrian heavy cruiser Eternal Vigilance, and both ships vanished in a brilliant flash of radiation and twisted metal. What followed could barely be called a battle. It was a swarm. Thousands of human vessels, none of them originally designed for combat, threw themselves at the Zephyrian fleet with suicidal determination. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. "Admiral!" his communications officer called out, panic creeping into his artificial voice. "We're receiving surrender transmissions." Kethvar felt a moment of relief. "From Earth?" "No, sir. From our own ships." The Admiral watched in horror as one after another of his vessels began breaking formation, their crews overwhelmed by an enemy that refused to follow any logical pattern of warfare. The humans didn't retreat when outgunned. They didn't surrender when defeated. They just kept coming. Captain Sarah Chen of the converted mining vessel Iron Mule summed up humanity's approach in her after-action report. They thought superior technology would make us afraid. They didn't understand that humans have been fighting hopeless battles for 50,000 years. We don't fight because we think we can win. We fight because it's what we do. Within 36 hours, the Zephyrian First Fleet was in full retreat. Admiral Kethvar's final report to High Command was brief. Recommend immediate reclassification of human species from fear-responsive to apex predator. Further engagement not advised. But humanity wasn't finished. The same industrial might that had converted civilian ships into weapons now turned toward a single purpose, following the Zephyrians home. 6 months later, Zephyrian colonies began reporting strange ships on their outer sensors. Angular, ugly vessels that shouldn't have been able to make interstellar journeys. The humans had somehow weaponized their own exploration ships, their colony vessels, even their research platforms. The message they broadcast to every Zephyrian world was simple. You came to our home uninvited. Now we're returning the favor. The Zephyrian Empire, which had dominated the galaxy for 3 millennia, found itself facing an enemy that defied every military doctrine they had ever developed. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to make sure their enemies never wanted to fight them again. In the end, the Zephyrians did something they had never done before. They offered to pay reparations for their attack on Earth. The human response was delivered by Secretary General Santos herself, broadcast live across the galaxy. We appreciate the gesture, but you need to understand something about humanity. We don't just want an apology. We want to make sure this never happens to anyone else. The Great War, as historians would later call it, lasted 3 years. When it ended, the Zephyrian Empire was dissolved, its member species liberated, and humanity had earned something far more valuable than victory. They had earned the galaxy's respect and its fear.